Transparency and accountability. It's what communities across the nation continue to call for in our police departments. In pursuit of that, South Carolina law enforcement agencies have picked up a critical piece of technology: body-worn cameras. But as our investigative team found, there are weaknesses in how these tools are being used. WNBF Investigates Madison Martin sheds light on those gaps in tonight's special report as part of our series, In Focus.
It's a tiny piece of tech that can reveal so much. Body-worn cameras used to capture interactions between the community and those sworn to protect them. It was South Carolina that set itself apart. In 2015, the Palmetto State became the first in the country to require all law enforcement agencies outfit their officers with these cameras, happening during a time where scrutiny swelled over use of force cases, like the killing of Walter Scott by a North Charleston police officer.
Not only is it a great day for South Carolina, we're leading the way for the rest of the country to follow.
But today, those issues with mistrust are still felt in communities close to home. We decided it's time to revisit how that law looks today. And to some policy experts, like USC law professor Seth Stoughton,
the reality is South Carolina had a head start and we got lapped.
Once signed by the governor, body-worn cameras became a must, but only if the agency could get the money to do it. Meanwhile, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Training Council established these guidelines, a few pages sent out to police departments across the state, requiring agencies to submit their own policies for approval. The Training Council did a thorough study to put these together 5 years ago, but therein lies the problem to some. More than 5 years have passed and nothing has changed, not in the guidelines and not in the law.
We really had an opportunity to lead in terms of the continued evolution of policing in the United States. We led for 15 minutes and then got bypassed and didn't bother to catch up.
To be fair, the guidelines aren't meant to be comprehensive. They're meant to be a jumping off point.
This is where I think the Law Enforcement Training Council really has the opportunity to provide very, very useful information. Not here's what to do, but here's the framework that you can use to decide what to do. Here are the things to keep in mind. You can't do that in a 4-page letter.
15th Circuit Solicitor Jimmy Richardson says body cameras help prove what really happens in a case.
Every law enforcement agency across our area has reported a reduction in people claiming abuse.
WNBF Investigates reviewed some of our local agencies' body camera policies.
They can help spell out, for example, that cameras also be turned on in situations not listed in state guidelines. Or if an officer doesn't activate it or interrupts a recording, they need to document why. But there are limitations to all of this. These are personnel policies, after all, not laws. Many policies do spell out that law enforcement officers cannot edit, alter, or erase footage caught on their cameras. But nothing in the statute would actually make that illegal. It also doesn't mandate that cameras be activated in a reasonable time frame during certain situations. That's something the president for NAACP's Georgetown branch says needs to change.
It is necessary to put that in the law. When you tamper with the evidence, there should be a crime. Bottom line.
And there have been attempts to do so. A breadcrumb trail exists in the General Assembly to tighten up the statute. Bills introduced that ultimately stall out year after year. Some of our local representatives, like Terry Alexander and Carl Anderson, are currently backing a bill. It would, in part, make intentionally deleting footage that could be used as evidence a misdemeanor. They think this upcoming session could be different.
We are trying to codify to make sure that everybody is playing by the same rules and regulations.
The consequence will be what we see in North Carolina and what we see in other parts of, the United States, what's happening now. We're trying to avoid all of that. South Carolina has been always a proactive state to try to avoid things from happening in a negative or a bad way.
But only time will tell. I reached out to several of our police departments to get their perspective on how well their body camera program and policy is working. The Florence County Sheriff's Office was only recently able to acquire cameras and sat down with me to discuss. Horry County Police and Myrtle Beach Police have had established programs for years, but both of them declined on-camera interviews. We'll have information they did provide on our website, but we're continuing to press for more transparency and accountability surrounding these tools fueled by taxpayer dollars. Reporting for WNBF Investigates, I'm Madison Martin.
Right now on our website, you can find the body-worn camera policies adopted by many of our local law enforcement agencies. And our In Focus series continues. We're looking into how accessible body camera footage actually is here in South Carolina and if that should change. You can watch right here on WMBF News at 11, August 3rd.